This is your stop for all things pop. Catch our all-around pop culture geek, Chola Sediaren, as he throws in some dose of what's poppin' and what's hot in the pop culture scene here on Popcorn. Munchin' with us every Thursdays from 4 to 6, only here on Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.
What's poppin', and welcome to Popcorn with Cholo Sadiaran, your stop for all things pop, where we talk about all things pop culture from the Philippine Islands to the rest of the globe. If you're new here, welcome, and thank you for listening in and hearing us talk about our opinions about literally everything. If you've been listening, welcome back, and thanks for listening. Happy New Year ulit. I mean, this is the second episode back
Hooray.
after the New Year. And with me in this episode is Emil,
Yay.
Denny, and Dren.
Hi.
Welcome back. It's nice seeing you, hearing you again.
Long time.
Super long time.
Unreal.
Super
Been a
long
while,
time.
been a while.
So,
can't
Happy
believe it's my
New
second time
Year.
here.
I mean, this is more like the news from the new year, because the last one was more about like our faves from the last year.
Just
It's
ranting.
more like what we feel about certain things that came out this year, like
Already,
trailers
wow.
and- yeah,
It's already an insane year.
it already is. I
15
mean,
days. Yes,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Taal erupted.
I know.
Yeah.
JD broke up.
Oh my
Australia.
God. Don't joke.
Australia.
Yeah, I mean,
that.
new year, new decade. It's a lot to look
Same world.
forward to. Same world,
Yeah.
probably dumber world
Feels
even.
bad.
Less
Yeah,
healthy world.
I mean, syempre,
Rest of the world.
I don't know if you want to talk about New Year's resolutions a bit.
God. I probably already failed them.
Well, ako kasi,
I actually have a resolution that I've kept up with. Which I'm very
Which
proud of.
is?
Which is every morning I try to like exercise. Just do like
That's such a good one.
just like body weight exercise.
Okay,
So I just do
yeah,
like I have a yoga mat which I got from my Secret Santa, and I was like, I should probably use this.
Oh my God.
So-
Okay,
that's a
I
good
should,
Secret Santa
I
wish
should
list,
start
though.
doing that because my mom, we gave our mom a yoga mat for Christmas.
Yeah, I literally.
I'm stealing that.
And
from
it's
her.
literally like I'm like, I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm like super thin. I can barely do one proper
Hey.
push-up, so I'm still like on my knees trying to do
He
push-ups.
would like to
But
contest.
but every day, like
the
it
height
gets
to
a little,
compensate.
it gets a little easier. Like with BoJack Horseman, it gets a little easier. So, and now I feel great. I've been sleeping a lot more on time just because of the
Oh,
exercise.
wow.
All of
That's
it
good
lines
to
up.
hear.
I've had less stomach problems in the past week than I have in the past 6
See?
months. So it's literally just exercise, guys.
I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Like, I never really used to like do New Year's resolutions. I was like, you could do it like whatever time in
Yeah.
the year, not in the New Year. But
spirit.
for some reason, this year,
It's a decade. kasi
yeah,
it's a
this decade, I've been trying to really like take care of myself more than ever. Like Dren, I started working out. Na rin.
You have lost a little weight.
Yeah.
And last time I saw you.
So, what
You
were you
lost
saying?
weight since I last saw you.
Really?
Yeah.
Thanks. Wow.
It's like you were
I'm like,
processing.
what are you
that.
saying?
Raymond Bagat Singh called you cute.
Yeah,
Forget
that's
that.
such a
It's
no.
Bagaching, by the way.
I don't know.
He pronounced it Bagat Singh.
Oh,
said-
sorry, Raymond.
Shout out to Rama, our friend.
Ram,
Wow.
nickname basis.
Friend na raw eh. But yeah, I mean, I've been working out not really to like have Raymond Bagat Singh
Yeah, exactly.
abs
That's
or
what I
anything.
realized also.
That's impossible.
But like just to like lose my
Exactly.
Ano,
I think
just
that's
like
the thing that always scared me. Sorry, but like, yeah.
yeah.
It's always so daunting to be like, oh my god, I need to be like Kumail after he started.
Oh my
working
god,
out.
that's
For the
crazy though.
Eternals,
Yeah, for the Eternals, or like what do you call this? Or Brie Larson when she did Captain Marvel, or Chris Evans. And I realized like, I'm probably never gonna get there because that's not what I want. I just want.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just needed to balance my eating and my like just exercise period.
Plus, it's
And-
different when Marvel subsidizes.
Yeah,
You know?
What is all you do for like 2 months? Of course,
Yeah,
gonna
it's
be
like,
different,
we're gonna pay for your living expenses. Just like do push-ups or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
anyone else?
Well, my New Year's resolution is not exercise related. Sorry to my parents, but it is like it's the same one I had last year and the year before, which is I try to watch more movies. It's just like I feel like I don't see enough. So like 2 years ago, my goal was 100, then 150. New to me, so like If I see a movie from 1948 I haven't seen, it counts.
Yeah.
This year's like 200, which is ambitious, but we're gonna
Yeah.
get.
I guess
I feel like that's
I'm
like-
pretty. I believe
after
you.
that, if you go
can
with
do
that-
it.
After that, like if, unless I'm getting
I
paid
mean-
to do it,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
can't
It'd
get
be
to
like that's too
200.
much.
Can't get
Count every NBA game as a movie.
I wanted to count Carly Ray as a movie, but
It is a movie.
Me.
It didn't get nominated. What the
The real snub.
The
Wait.
2020 season is gonna be like it's so insane. I don't know what the hell's happening in the NBA.
Well, I'm a Warriors fan, so it's not good for me.
Oh my goodness!
Wait, now
I
I
loved it when James Harden said that like the NBA is missing Klay.
Silence from me.
That was heartfelt for me.
Same.
Yeah.
Now I
Well,
feel bad
miss
because like
Klay,
everyone has resolutions. So
It's different.
I mean, maybe not. I wouldn't call it a New Year's resolution because I don't. It's not like a.
Just for the new year.
Yeah, it's like the goal I set for myself is that I really want to publish something
Oh.
at
So
least
that's
by
a
the end
really
of
good
this
one.
year or something, because I haven't written fiction for myself since I graduated, and I really miss it. Like if I think about all the things that I want to do in my life, then eliminate them one by one. Like the main priority that I have in my mind is writing. So I really want to do that again.
So we will
That's a great
watch
one.
out for that.
yeah, we'll see.
Can't wait.
Oh no.
Can't wait to hear your acceptance
It's too
speech.
late. I'm gonna send it to Star Cinema.
The what? The palancas?
Whatever.
The Oscars then. Best original screenplay.
Yeah.
For Joker 2.
And then like, oh, where's the
For Libag,
movie
the
was
I Want
like-
series.
Oh, it hasn't been made yet.
Libag nga.
But it will
Libag,
be.
the I Want
I'm gonna write
series.
Libag.
Jesus.
So yeah, I mean, New Year, and I mean, the world is kind of ending-ish.
Yeah, there are earthquakes everywhere.
Earthquakes, floods, fires.
I realized I have a
Ashfall.
podcast, so like my sign of the cross didn't do it.
I mean, hopefully it gets better. But this episode is more like our popcorn extravaganza number 4 or 5. I think it's the
Popcorn jumbo
4th.
size.
Kasi before we used to like
Large.
have it with the main topic, but now I'm kind of like separating it so it can stand alone.
Cool.
The other topics, but
Now
now
requested by the fans.
fans,
The Colonels. Yeah.
the corn
I
stars.
think it'd be cool, cute if we call the fans the Colonels. Pop Colonels, sorry.
corn
Corn stars.
The Colonels. Oh my god.
God.
Colonels is fun too.
Colonels, yeah.
Yeah, sige. Wala pa naman solid fan base.
The puppies.
Puppies. May nagsabi sa akin popsters, pero sa Sarah Geronimo fans are
Yes.
popsters
Oh,
already.
yeah, I can't
so.
think
No, I was about to say like, oh, don't do that.
Delix.
So anyway, we're just gonna breeze through some of the things that
Yeah.
we want to
Sige,
react to.
breeze-
So,
breeze through.
short movie reviews. Number 1, MMFF 2019.
Oh God.
I only watched 3 out of 8.
Oh, what did you see?
I saw Sundo, which is...
Sunod?
Sundo.
Oh my god.
Sunod pala.
Guess he didn't like it that much.
No. I kept on confusing
And
it.
I
Is
confused it also because of
Sundo
the
or
Imago
Sunod?
song. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, kasi we work with Imago, so I keep Sundo. Mula.
Okay.
Sige, Emil. Sinimulan mo, ayaw mo akong patapusin.
Sorry.
Okay, anyway, Sunod was really good and expected to be.
Yeah.
I mean, kasi with the history of horror in MMFF,
In the MMFF.
recently,
Yes.
it hasn't been that great. But this one was
Shout out
like,
to Outlaw.
is that even?
Starring Richie Rivera. Yeah.
But,
Sorry.
I mean, it could have improved more or like expanded its
Yeah, yeah,
world
yeah.
even further. But
Pero
on its own,
The
it's like-
direction of it is so good. It's,
yeah, and it
It
looks
looks
so polished.
so nice.
Yeah.
The VFX is so good.
Yep.
And Carmina was great also.
Same.
Crystal
I think,
Brimner
I
was
think
so
they
good.
were the same group that did the visual effects on The More the Merrier. I
That's
think.
why. No, but
Yeah.
Ganda
The More
din
the
ng
Merrier is-
VFX
yeah.
ng More the Merrier.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll just wait for it on I Want.
Wait, so sorry. So you saw Sunod.
I saw
you
Sunod. I
Julio?
saw Right About Love.
Oh, okay.
Which was
Okay
okay.
naman, okay naman.
It
Yeah.
was just like,
Cute.
yeah, cute. And what was the
Miracle?
third one? No,
Kulyon.
Oh, you didn't watch Miracle?
Triple Trouble.
no, what was the third one I watched?
Kulyon.
Oh, Miracle. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Miracle and Cell Number 7.
I heard
Just-
More the Merrier.
The highest grossing.
Miracle. Si Yesha, ganun.
Yesha! Take a shot every time
yung
magabulak
Sailor
si
Moon,
Yesha.
yung Sailor Moon
Yeah.
bag.
Yeah.
I watched like the Korean one just a few days for the first time before.
I've
fantastic.
never seen it.
I love
The Korean
yeah.
one, yeah. I mean, I guess the Korean one also has its own like. I have some
Yeah.
criticisms
And
for it
then
as a
yeah.
movie.
I mean, obviously, since they adapted it, they talked to the directors, and the director said he approves the.
Yeah.
Viva.
Pero syempre, my main ano lang about Miracle was like, Prism doesn't look that
I
good.
know, right?
I saw the trailer, I was like, it's so
Yeah.
clean.
They made it look so happy.
No, the thing about when it cuts to the jail, I think that's when the movie starts to like become like shaky because the beginning's fine. Then
Yeah,
when it
yeah,
gets to
yeah.
the jail, I feel like what the what happened to the what's happening to like the set? What,
The best jail.
I mean, I get it because of the content of the movie, but at the same time, I was like, but I feel like it was more about contrast rather than it fitting into the theme of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like depicting the prison like that might make more sense in South Korea. I don't know, but when you move the story to the Philippines,
Yeah.
our prisons don't
They
look
could
like
have
that.
gone further with the social commentary,
Yeah.
given
Wala, they backed
Wala.
off the death penalty stuff also.
it's
a little
just
bit.
like pretty much the same thing,
Yes.
but with like
Sorry.
Aga Mulak and the rest of the cast, which
Who
were
was fine,
really
by the way.
good.
They were
Agamulak was
really
like-
good.
all-
Some of the
Agamulak
best
was fine.
actors.
John
in the
Arcelia was so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
JC Santos.
Yep. Agamulak was fine.
Weird
it was
lang
my
na si
favorite
ano,
performance, but
weird lang na si JC Santos is usually paired with Bella, and
Yeah.
now he's like an older guy
Yeah.
in the movie.
so it's just like okay.
Oh nga no.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize.
I mean, my
that.
qualm lang is yun nga, the production design didn't fit with the rest of the film.
I don't know. I feel like it drags. It also drags for me. I'm like, I don't know why, but the Korean adaptation of the film or the original version of the film, it doesn't really slow down for me. This one feels a bit draggy. So.
I mean, I will say though that both like yung Miracle tsaka yung
Sunod?
well, Sunod is like easily the best because it's like it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yung Miracle tsaka yung Right About Love, I feel like they're very safe and inoffensive, and like they still get the job done. 'Cause
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
watched Miracle, literally everybody around me was crying,
Same.
including little children were crying.
Oh wow.
And then
I think it broke 500 already.
yeah, and then
And it's still out until now, diba?
but when I watched Right About Love, nobody was crying except for one girl in front of me.
Named
who was-
Emil Jo.
No, she was crying so hard that
Really?
people had to shush her. As in, she was like sobbing audibly
Jesus.
and like laughing
she's a
after
writer.
every
Maybe
sob.
she's a
Maybe, yeah. But I was
was
glad that she enjoyed it that much.
But I was about to say, but I'm a writer and I watched Right About Love and I was like, man.
But yeah,
It's a cute ode to
Yeah.
like the rom-coms.
Yeah.
those are my like among the MFF entries. Those were like my top. Well, 4, counting surprisingly the Vic Soto one was okay.
Yeah.
The Unstoppable. No, Mission Unstoppable.
Mission Unstoppable, Dawn Identity.
Si Donna
And so
Cruz.
like for me those are like the way I tiered it on Twitter was that those are the 4.
Sunod
And
being
then
like
Sunod was
gap.
like
Yeah,
higher
there's like a
talaga,
gap.
like that.
You mean
And then-
Sundo? Joke.
Oh, Sundo, Imago.
Sundo.
And then it was like 3 ones that I would not recommend, then there was one down there.
Your favorite.
Which is,
The best.
I feel like you need to talk
Do
about
Go
it.
for it.
Sige, let's talk about Triple Trouble.
Triple Trouble.
Huli ka Balbon. Which is
Pagalingan sila ng logo ng
Yeah.
ng
oh my
Mission.
god. I honestly like I actually don't want to talk about it just because I'm so tired.
Yeah.
And like it's
I get that.
it's propaganda. It's anti trans women. It's anti men in drag. It's very pro Coco Martin
Yeah.
and his career.
It didn't make shit though. So that's-
Yeah, well,
sorry,
yeah.
swearing, but like this movie, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I hated.
You watched it also ba?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to watch all 8.
I hated it. I hated myself watching it. I hated everyone involved. So yeah. Sorry, I
Yeah.
just yeah.
It's fine.
No,
You
this
can
is one
read
of
it
the
on
ones that-
ML's
yeah.
Twitter.
And my
I-
blog.
Yeah, I try to be like more soft when it comes to the local industry because I'm in it, so I always try to give like the benefit of the doubt
Yeah.
most of the time after seeing like the grittier side of it. But this movie sucks. It's terrible. I hate it. Just like Emil, there's only one other MMF movie that I hate more than that's Outlaw. So
That's
there
saying
you go.
something.
Oh no,
That's how much
I dislike this more than Otlum.
Oh, okay.
So-
Wow.
Otlum was easier to laugh at. This one I
Yeah,
couldn't even
okay.
laugh at.
I just
it,
couldn't
so.
get over that Richie Rivera was an Outlaw.
I couldn't get over the fact that Otlum was an hour long. And
Yeah.
like when
No,
the credits started rolling, and I was like, wait a minute.
I remember watching Outlaw and I remember thinking I'm gonna walk out of this movie and then it ended before it Yeah.
Man, 2016 feels
Yeah.
so long ago.
I know.
Grabe.
But yeah. But the other
But
ones.
we have the summer MMFF to look forward to.
Kill me. Sorry. Yes.
Why? We have PPP already. It's why we have PPP.
We already have like one of the most like in terms of like the Asian countries, we have like I
The
think the
most-
most number of festivals in a year.
I mean, I guess Coco Martin needs a summer house. I don't know.
You need a second summer house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, MMFF 2019.
Yes.
How are the rest? Mindanao,
I
Culion. Do you agree?
Mindanao wasn't okay.
I disagree a little bit with you. Sorry, just to put that out.
Here's the thing for me in Mindanao is that Brillante Mendoza is not a bad filmmaker. It's
Yes.
just that he makes kind of the same movie all the time, and recently it's been impossible to separate him from his politics.
Yeah.
And because he keeps insisting that he's not political.
Okay.
And Mindanao tries to be apolitical, even if it very subtly says, oh, we're pro-military in Mindanao.
Yeah.
And, so, yeah. But, like, I still thought it was a little bit better than Kulion, unfortunately, which, like, really bored me.
Yeah.
Despite the John Lloyd cameo.
John Lloyd?
Yeah, he's in
What?
the trailer.
And it's written by
But I
Ricky
didn't see
Lee.
that trailer.
Oh, he shows up in the movie for, like, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he cries, and that's it.
It's honestly okay.
Is that the second trailer?
I didn't see any. I didn't see any of the MMFF
Yeah.
films because like the holidays were wild for me. But I saw the Kulion trailer. Like I saw a bunch of the trailers before my screening of Skywalker, and like nothing bumped because I thought I was excited for Kulion. Like
yeah.
I thought
same.
that was the one MMFF
Yeah,
movie I would
same,
love for.
same. Yeah, yeah.
And then I saw that trailer and I was like, man,
And then when I
fuck this.
Yeah.
And oh my god, like Sir Ricky wrote it, who's a good friend of mine, and there's so many. And Isa Calzada's in it was also
Yeah,
like
I
who
love
I
Isa.
also
The acting is good.
yeah, and the thing I think that's where my personal bias comes in because I would actually put Kulion like much higher than you have it on your list because I thought
Okay.
it was the reason why
That's fair.
Yeah, I thought it was yes, it is very slow, but I did because of the acting so good. I didn't really feel like I mean the story does like fall apart, especially in Act 3. Like it really just falls
God.
apart. So yeah, I feel like the first 2 acts of the movie are just enough for me to like it.
Okay.
So I thought it was fine. Yeah.
That's fair. I think it would have been better if it's like a show or a book or
oh
something.
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, like it's not didn't like offend me like the other
yeah.
one. The other one did. Like literally all these other movies are fine. Like when you compared it to the one.
yeah, absolutely.
The one that shall not be named.
Yeah.
I was actually I really wanted to see The More the Merrier then. It seemed really people were talking about the CGI nga eh.
CGI is surprisingly very
Yes,
good.
CGI is
So
fantastic.
That's like the best
as I
part.
said
Shout out
earlier,
to Blacklight Studios.
I'll just wait for
Awesome.
I want.
yung because me and Vice Ganda, I actually like most of Vice Ganda's movies that I've seen, but this one felt very low energy, like in comparison. And I think one of the main reasons is that usually, the character that Vice Ganda gets to play is very interesting or very bombastic and gets to be like a superhero or whatever. And si Vice is very good at playing up that kind of stuff. In this movie, the role is so boring. Like there's nothing for him
yeah.
to do. So
It's almost dramatic.
Yeah, it sucks the life out of the rest of the movie because he doesn't have a good role.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's that the character.
I agree.
M&M's.
As somebody that knows the writers of the film, so I'm very careful. I think the thing that happened with The More the Merrier is just them attempting to do something different because he makes a movie at least once a year, if not
Yeah.
more. And like Emil, I actually do enjoy a lot of his films.
Yeah.
And
Girl Boy?
yeah, Girl Boy.
Girl Boy was fun.
Yeah.
What do you call this? Mare. This guy's in love with you, Mare, which is up there also for me. My favorite film of his is Sister Akas, which is insane.
Sister Rakas is crazy.
Yeah.
It's its
Haven't seen
own.
But
like,
yeah, but with The More the Merrier, I think what ended up happening, what I felt like happened was that it just felt like they tried to put too much heart into a film that already innately has heart because Vice is in it. I feel like Vice puts a lot of heart into the performances that he does.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And ends up giving energy to parts of the film that have no right to be energetic, right? It tends like just like normal dialogue scenes end up coming up very
yeah.
high because of him. And I feel like they tried to integrate that into this film more. They tried to write it into the film more, and it ended up like kind of crashing into each other. And yeah, it didn't translate very well. So I enjoyed it still. It's not like his worst film or anything, but yeah, I'm just worried because I feel like if Summer FF comes out and if they end up releasing 2 Vice films a year, I feel like the struggle will be even worse. Will be
yeah,
even harder
kasi this
for
is
them.
his pangilang feature na
God, it's like his 11th or something.
mga 10th na. 2010 nag-start si Vice
Yeah,
eh.
so it's like
Mga
his 11th.
Private Benjamin was
Yeah, and then he's had a few in
2010-ish.
between, so yeah.
Okay, so MMFF, is it a yes, a sax, a sad,
It's a yes for
sigh,
me, but
a
the
pass?
Summer FF is a hell no for me.
I think I actually wouldn't say that this was. I still feel like last year's MMFF was worse.
Yes.
Because there was no sunod in that lineup.
Wala,
Like,
wala.
They were all just
I like the girl in the orange dress.
I hated
I
that.
like that.
I hated
enjoyed it so much. I enjoyed it.
I hated it
What's
so
that?
much.
Jericho and Jesse.
Yeah, no, who's the director?
I don't remember. I'm so
Sorry
sorry for being
I'm not
blunt,
sure.
camera, but like could not stand that movie.
Yeah.
No, kasi ako nag-gets ko yung story.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
like it's well made. I can't believe you're talking about a movie from last year, but it's well made. But like I think all the women are portrayed like idiots. And then there's an elevator scene where someone makes a male rape
Gia
joke.
Bellio, yeah.
So
Thank you.
like after the male rape joke in the elevator, like the movie just never redeemed itself. I was just like crossed my arms. I was like, okay.
Never recovered. Yeah,
Anyway.
I get that though. I get that some moments in movies just like
Yeah.
destroy it for me. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this year's MFF had a higher high but a lower low for
Yeah.
me. So it's an interesting.
it's still like
yeah, last year's was very harmless in a lot of ways.
I don't remember.
But most of them
last
weren't
year wasn't
good,
really memorable.
Yeah.
Talaga.
Aurora, One
Oh my
Great
god,
Love,
Aurora was
One
like
Great Love,
Yeah.
Rainbow Sunset.
Rainbow Sunset.
It was
was last.
although I think Aurora was the one that performed the best, other than Vice's film. Fantastic.
But that was so boring.
The Tony Gonzaga, Alex Gonzaga one, which was weirdly my favorite. Marry Me.
Mary was okay.
but it had
Bumalik na tayo sa MMF.
Oh, okay.
Okay, anyway.
Go back to the present.
Okay, so it's a Saks this year for me. More than last year.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess Rise of Skywalker before we go to
I mean,
quick ano lang,
because
quick
there's gonna be
reaction.
another
It's,
episode, right?
Yeah.
it's a Saks.
This is gonna be another episode. I'm just going to say that I love, as much as I love The Last Jedi, that I know not a lot of people agree with that, and a lot of people say Rogue One is the best, which I completely, that's fine.
Yeah, ako Last Jedi ako.
Last Jedi ako.
Yeah, I think it's mostly Rogue One, Last Jedi, and Force Awakens.
Because
But
we are the Jedi.
the thing that I didn't like the most about Rise of Skywalker is that it actually made the other two films seem worse somehow, looking back. Looking at it as a trilogy now, it seems like it might actually be somewhere in the realm of the prequels in terms of the trilogy, like how it comes together.
Yeah,
Because even
yeah.
the trilogy made sense. If you look at these three films, the sequel trilogy, they literally
What did
tried
they
to
want?
contradict each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like watching people fight over like
It's
through
Marriage
movies.
Story.
Oh God.
Between J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson.
Yeah, but the people shouting are JJ. and
Yeah,
Ryan,
so
Yeah, but ako I enjoyed watching it.
yeah, I would say that sucks then in the sense na I can see where all the talent is.
Yeah,
like,
and I
I
can
think the actors are trying so
Yeah.
hard talaga with what they
Yeah.
have, but the writing is so
Yeah.
bad. Yeah.
Well, I will be the semi-dissenting opinion
Ooh.
and say there are movies I like less than Skywalker, but I have never been more annoyed, mad at a movie rather than like vis-a-vis Skywalker, because I think a movie, like regardless of what you feel about like The Last Jedi, I think a movie has to respect what came
yeah,
before.
no,
And then
yeah,
this one
yeah.
beat, I think it starts the third act with Rey and Luke on the island. No
God.
spoilers, but that like I almost walked out.
Yeah.
I almost walked out.
Sobrang bastas eh.
That was ridiculous.
That was
Yeah.
the disrespect.
There were reports
You know.
though.
And like if you also like I loosely followed the press tour for that, and like it's just like
Everyone was so tired.
yeah.
everyone was
the
just
entire-
dunking on
yeah,
Rian.
yeah.
Like, everyone was dunking on Rian before it came out, except notable exceptions: Oscar Isaac,
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac, Adam Driver,
Adam
the
Driver.
best.
I love those two so
Yeah.
much.
They're so done.
And then
John
when
Boyega.
And John Boyega, grabe, all
And
his
then John Boyega
tweets
was like,
right
okay,
now.
waiting for the check to come in, and then okay,
Dunk on the rail.
Okay, just kidding. I actually didn't. I actually also hated this one. It was like I don't. Oh god.
and I'm like, I've just like there are movies that are like poorly made. There are movies that are actually offensive
Yes.
or propaganda, but like no movie fell short more of what it could
Yeah,
have been.
it's the most disappointing.
Definitely.
True. Absolutely.
Yeah, like it could have been great, and it wasn't even good.
Yeah.
It was just
It's
there.
Exactly.
It was just
Yeah, no,
there.
it just
Existed.
exists.
Yeah.
And then it
It's-
just, you don't even watch it, it just happens.
And it's just really the weight, I think, of ending the whole thing and it being marketed as the last movie of
Yeah.
God,
the
J.J. Abrams
saga.
has struggles with these with like the endings
Endings.
so much. I don't know
It's
why.
because of his philosophy.
His mystery
He's
box
very
thing,
let
yeah.
the mystery be, which I don't think works when you're trying to end something that you didn't see through all the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
God.
the rise of Skywalker.
Right.
We'll do another episode of
Yeah.
it. And I can't wait for that
now
episode.
we head to Emil's
The best.
best joke lang, of 20.
Okay, here we go.
We're gonna
Are
talk-
you ready,
so,
Jellicles?
for me, it was Sax lang, Rise of Skywalker. I mean, it's
I'm a no.
Yeah.
okay. He's a
I'm also-
pass.
He's a pass.
I'm
They're fast.
closer.
Keep it.
I'm like in between you guys.
Oh, you should have heard Dren in the cinema when the
sabay ba kayo
when the
nanood?
credits came on during Skywalker.
I was
like he just
at the end of the credits. I literally might have mellowed a lot now, but I literally like was on the borderline walking out. Like I hated it so much when I first saw
Yeah.
it. It was
so he's obviously more close
Yes,
to a
yes.
pass. But I'm
Okay.
a Sax.
Ako rin, Sax. Sax to, no, just Sax.
Oh no, I would just keep it Sax.
Okay, so now we head to cats. Let's be Jellicle cats.
Let's go.
I'm Cholo,
Yes,
the
Jellicles.
pop cat.
yeah.
I'm Ophelenia, the skinny cat.
Crap, I don't have a cat name.
You had.
I haven't seen the film yet. Sorry.
You're a cat.
Henrik.
Dren's a cat.
Yeah, so I'm very interested to see what you guys have to say about it.
Dren's trying to be the chosen. what do you call that?
It's
Yeah.
fine,
The
it's fine.
Jellicle
The
choice.
Jellicle choice.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've heard it's if it's okay, I'll like start it because I haven't
Go
seen
ahead.
it yet.
Oh, you haven't
So-
seen it? Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. So I will say that when it first came out, the trailer I was like neutral towards it, and then when more clips started coming out, I started to notice the uncanny valley of it all, and I got really scared because it looked horrible. Came out, reviews are horrible, but I do understand now that. I definitely think that the reviews are exaggerated now, especially after today specifically, just today, because my boss and two of my bosses talked to me about how they enjoyed the film. They genuinely, unironically enjoyed it. They like it. Like thumbs up from them, and it's because they said after all of the terrible reviews, they went into the mindset of it's a bad movie. And they said it's a bad movie, but they said also that you can see how freaking hard that like Tom Hooper commits so hard to his vision, and that's what they found so endearing.
Yeah.
Actually,
No,
I
that's
would
true.
say
That's
that.
true.
Yeah,
That's
you
true.
know, you give him that.
For
and
better
to
or
me-
worse.
And to me, that's like extremely endearing and helps a lot with the film. So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
That's true. I agree. Na parang the very fact that this exists and they made it happen.
I mean,
is
they went for it, man.
yeah, they did.
Like,
They went
exactly,
and
yeah.
they
You say a lot of things about Tom Hooper. He never doesn't go for it.
Yeah.
yeah. I guess
They like this more than
I didn't hate it.
Sorry, my office mate.
I didn't love it either.
more than Liam.
It was an experience,
Yeah.
is what I would say. A Jellicle experience.
Jellicle experience.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean-
And I
I'll go
mean-
for- yeah.
No, I mean,
I'll go further
No,
than
I'm
that.
done.
I think we need movies like Cats. I think like every generation needs to have its bomb. Every generation needs its Heaven's Gate, its Showgirls,
It's Room.
its Room. No,
No.
The Room was an indie.
Oh,
This is a
okay,
$90 million
yeah,
movie
true.
that was objectively a disaster, financially a disaster,
Yeah.
but a disaster because of itself. It doesn't try not to be.
yeah.
Like
Okay.
because of just particularly how it's built, it was always gonna fail. But also I think we in a decade like where blockbusters have been safe, they've been like they're engineered to not fail.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're engineered to not like irritate anyone, not get hate unless
Yeah.
you're like sexist or whatever.
Rise of Skywalker.
Captain Marvel.
And like in 2019, it starts to go a little overboard with like Captain Marvel and Far From Home and The Rise of Skywalker. I think backfiring a bit by giving the people what they want.
Yeah.
And Game's worst parts even
Yeah.
stem from giving the people what they want, like that. scene
The all
with
women, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I rolled my eyes audibly. I don't know how you do that, but I did it. Like a movie like Cats that's so committed to what it is, which is this which is this strange, oddly horny vision of, like legit. There is a scene that you cannot read as anything but horny. It's near the end. It's involved.
You can spoil me. It's fine. I don't think the movie has a plot.
Like
It
there's-
doesn't.
like
It's
there's
just.
a bit where like Victoria and Mr. Mistopheles
Oh, no, yeah.
cat kiss, and then the next shot is like cards coming out of that. Like there's
Oh.
no way,
Oh, I didn't even know this.
I didn't know that
no way to
either.
interpret this.
Ejaculation,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's no way. And I'm like, I think it's a bad movie, but not because it doesn't commit. It's
Yeah.
not a bad movie because it's scared. It is
Yeah.
Oh,
not
that's
scared.
good. Yeah.
You know, and I think Cats will age a lot better than like a lot of the movies that made $1 billion this
Yeah.
year. Hopefully it'll age better than Joker.
Ooh, shots fired.
Emil.
Oh,
Our cats.
well, I never was there ever. Cat so clever as magical Mr. Mistopheles. I was singing that.
Singing this.
I was singing that.
James
What's
Corden?
his name?
No, Laurie Davidson.
He's a
like-
British.
Yeah.
The three.
He was in
Unknown.
Yeah.
Will. Siya ba yung Will?
I don't know.
I think he stars in this series as William Shakespeare. So parang that's his
Yeah.
claim
That
to
sounds
fame.
I agree with Dren's bosses and with Denny in that it's clearly a bad movie. Like there's no way around it. But like I like Cats a lot, and not even in the whole it's so bad it's good. Like I genuinely like the parts of it that work. I really like. Like I like the music so much now.
The music's really good.
Yeah,
you can.
There are a lot. There are a handful of performances that are like actually good.
Taylor Swift.
Okay, yeah.
It's unfortunate that they led with like James Corden.
I know. Okay, yeah. And like
The EP scene.
what I realized
I've heard
is
such
that
terrible
I
things
think
about this.
I think OA yung mga reviews in my opinion because number one, it's easy to make fun of. Like even the musical has always been easy to make fun of, man. But also because yun nga, they lead with the worst parts. Like the opening parts of Cats are the Rebel Wilson parts, the James Corden parts that are all like.
I'm so tired of them. Sorry, I'm so tired of them.
Poopy, farty, like that kind of humor. Them falling over because they're fat.
Yeah.
But then, so I can completely understand people giving up that early into the movie and just making fun of the rest. But I feel like I was still willing to give it a chance, even if there were people in the cinema already laughing. There were like less than 12 people in Greenbelt when I watched it, and like a lot of people were laughing na, like throughout the movie.
Yeah.
But like I committed to the Jellicle choice, and like I came away from it thinking, you know what, it really wasn't like the worst thing in the
It
world.
gains momentum by
You know,
the
it
end
does.
of it.
Like,
The power of watching other bad movies. Maybe those people like have only
right
seen
after
good
Triple
movies.
Trouble, so it like conditioned me to think, oh, this is cinema.
This is
This is what
incredible.
Scorsese was talking about.
Pero yun nga, I
I
agree
don't think
also.
Cats is cinema.
Like the
Cinema.
first musical numbers didn't really like it wouldn't like invite you into
Yeah.
the world
Yeah,
But
as much.
as soon as you get to like Skimble Shanks the railway
Yeah,
cat
When
yeah.
they start with the
tap
Jellicle choice.
dancing, yeah, man, there's good stuff. So,
Yeah, it's-
there is,
Cats
and
is
like I would
unforgettable.
like I wouldn't mind watching it.
Definitely.
I wouldn't mind watching it the second time. Like, and I know that because when I think of watching Rise of Skywalker a second time, I just don't want
Yes,
to. Like I
agree,
cannot
absolutely.
stand.
I survived the second
Oh, well,
watch.
yeah, I don't want to give them my.
Just
I
a
don't
few
want-
days
I don't want
after.
I wanted
Well,
to do
I-
worse than Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have to pay for it.
Oh, okay.
Well, anyway, I paid for my first
It did, right?
screening
It did
IMAX.
So far.
Anyway,
Unless it's
yeah.
something insane
What
like
else
that.
can I say about
Like
Cats?
China or
Again, I would say Beautiful Ghosts is a beautiful
Yeah, it's a good song.
song.
Snub choice, I assume.
Snub.
Yeah,
It didn't
I mean,
make the shortlist even.
it fits so well.
Yeah.
No, it's not. She didn't sing it in the movie.
the
She
credits.
wrote
She
it
wrote
with
it with
Andrew Lloyd Webber.
But
For
As
the,
an original.
for the main cat, yeah.
Yeah, for the
That
main
pedigree
cat.
though behind her
I know.
writing it, Jesus.
Yeah, and like the Taylor Swift pop version of the song is also really good. Shows her vocal prowess, how it's aged really well compared to the earlier Swiftian days. Ang ganda.
Rin mga ulul.
Taylor Swift pa rin talaga. Yeah, I mean, it's something some people should really experience for themselves and not be scared of what everyone else is
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. No, I mean, I honestly thought the reviews were inviting. I
mean-
thought, like, when I read the Cats review, I wanted to watch it. But when I read the Trust review, I was like, nah. I watched it anyway.
It's
but
weird. Like I bounced back and forth between I really want to watch this movie, and then I
Yeah,
talked to some
yeah.
friends about it, and they were like, "Why would you give money to a bad
Yeah.
movie that we can?
Yeah.
Obviously, you shouldn't do this as much.
Help
as
them
possible."
break even.
Like yeah, literally like download the movie or whatever. And then then I was like, oh, they kind of have a point. And then I heard people like Emil, now you guys, and my bosses. It's like, you know what?
you have to
You
give
can
honesty.
do worse. You could give money to like a sexist movie and it'd be worse than
Yeah.
giving money to Cats.
I gave
so-
money to Coco Martin, man. I'm never gonna live that
Yeah,
down.
I think I
I'm just like-
think if you're gonna give your money to a bad movie, give it to Cats. Like there are good reviews that make me want to not watch a movie like 19.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm still watching
1917.
1917.
I'm
I'm still watching
absolutely
it, 'cause
still
I have
watching
to,
it
but,
because
like-
it looks great though. I'll give it because it's Roger Deakins. Of course.
I have a long-standing vendetta against one-shot movies.
Oh, okay.
Shout out Birdman.
Oh. Okay, so it's a sax. Cats, it's a sax for me.
It's a yes.
It's a
yes.
question mark for me.
I would give it a subjective yes. It's an objective pass.
It's
a subjective
both
yes.
it's both a subjective yes.
It is what
and
it is.
Like,
Yun na lang.
like taking the cinema landscape as a whole, it's a yes. We need more cats.
It's a question mark.
We need more cats.
I'm
That's
going
a
to
new thing.
Commit
A
and say
question.
that I'm going to watch it. I'm gonna watch it in the cinema.
Okay,
I'll see it.
so now we head on to some just a
Random.
breezing through some news. Trailer reactions.
sorry.
So many trailers
Okay.
came out. Last year lumabas yung Wonder Woman 1984 or WWE
It's
84.
such a question mark for me after I saw the
I missed
trailer.
it.
Jesus.
It looks great.
I give that a yes. I give that a yes because I have
so much
faith. I have faith in Patty Jenkins.
So it's a yes for me, but it's a more hesitant yes than Remil's yes.
I agree.
Yeah, Patty Jenkins.
I'm like between Yas and Sax,
And
but
Kristen Wiig.
I mean,
you know.
Sure.
Yes, true.
but yun nga, I was telling them earlier while we were like off air, how does Steve even return from the dead? But that doesn't
We'll
matter.
find out.
Magic.
It's a Chris.
Yeah.
That's it.
A
Yeah.
wizard did it.
I'm resisting the urge to talk
Shazam.
more about it, but yeah. No, I just wanted to say like that's the thing that freaks me out. It's like, okay, I know she also wrote this one. She wrote the last one, so I have faith. But also, the third act of Wonder Woman was easily the weakest part of the movie. So now I'm terrified because why is he back? So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
It's probably a trailer throw off.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
will have to
probably.
see for ourselves.
Maybe he dies in like 30 seconds.
Baka
Gets Ned Stark.
baka ano lang yun, montage lang pala yun.
Mushroom cloud.
Like what could have been montage.
Dream sequence.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like Dark Ray ganun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is I guess
I'm gonna wait for y'all's
people
opinion.
have
We have very
Yeah,
opinions.
we disagree on
Yeah,
this.
very-
Okay, I'm gonna
different
start then.
Sige,
For
go.
me, it looks really interesting.
Yeah.
But I still don't like how
Oh.
people are like discounting that
How people.
last
Okay.
Ghostbusters 2016,
Okay.
which I really enjoyed.
Okay.
And this looks like a Stranger Things approach to Ghostbusters.
No, yeah, that's true.
And Finn
Yes,
Wolfhard
He
is
is in
here.
it. McKenna Grace is in it, and she's in every horror franchise.
And Paul Rudd is here
Paul
also.
Rudd, yeah.
And yeah, it's taking Ghostbusters from the city to like a more
Like a
country-ish, rural.
Yeah.
So it's a yes
Yeah.
for now. It looks really interesting for me.
I will justify my yes is that I have no attachment to Ghostbusters because I've never seen Ghostbusters. So I think it
I
looks.
hate
I
you.
think it looks. I think it looks fun. I think it looks fun. I think like because I like the actors a lot already, and I think McKenna Grace can do like no wrong. So I like how I did that because she's small. But yes. So I mean I don't have an explanation really. I just
Yeah.
it looks
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
It's trailer, yeah.
For me, it's a yes. If only because I am in the massive minority of I love Jason Reitman, man.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's right.
he is.
Jason.
He
Like
is.
I think Young Adult is one of the hard slept on movies of the 2010s.
He did Up in the Air, right?
My God, yeah, absolutely.
Like
Young
no one
adult.
talks about Young Adult, but
Yeah.
like Young Adult, like Charlize in Young Adult has got to be a top 10
Yeah,
performance of the decade. That's
I don't know if you guys have seen Young Adult, but
I have
it's
not.
literally one of the most like fun movies I think of the decade. It's
like one
so
of the
good.
one of the most hateable characters, but you also root for her.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Somehow, and Charlize is great.
Like that's the movie I attribute Charlize's Oscar
Yeah,
to.
and you know why? Like, sorry, this is like a completely different tangent. But the reason why Young Adult doesn't get talked about enough is because it came out the same year as Bridesmaids, and everyone talks about
The Bridesmaids, but like
Young Adult is just as good, if not
no,
better.
Young
for me.
Adult is better, but Young Adult doesn't get talked about because it's not as likable.
So is that why he's shitting on Paul Feig?
I'm not sure.
I mean, if it came out the same year and then you
Yeah.
know
Oh, ano?
Oh, I know.
conspiracy theory.
Ah.
But also, I'm also yeah.
Kasi parang
because
they're just
Carrie
like
Coon-
just really like
Yeah.
Oh,
not acknowledging that
Yeah.
that whole 2016 thing happened.
Yeah.
I'm also not. I also haven't seen the original Ghostbusters, and I've cooled hard on 2016. I liked it when it came out. Now I think about it, it's fine.
It's not bad.
It's not bad, but it's also not great.
No.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a lot of people want to talk about it as like the female Ghostbusters, and I think that gives the movie so much like undue baggage. This is like when people marketed Booksmart as a woke teen comedy. When
Yeah.
That's just
Or
too
like
much
or a
baggage for it.
female super bad.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
just, it
yeah.
is female super bad. It's close.
Okay.
Not quite cigar, but it's
Wasn't
close.
there like another like film that tried to be like super bad but younger? What are they called?
Oh,
Good Boys.
Good Boys.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. But yeah, Ghostbusters Afterlife, yes.
I'm gonna say Sax, and I'm of the opposite. Like I'm coming from the opposite direction where I grew up on Ghostbusters. I loved Ghostbusters growing up. Like we had the VHS tape, and put that in. Like I'd watch it all the time. So it's very very close to my heart. But that's not even the reason why I'm scared of this new Ghostbusters. The 2016 version unlike a lot of like crazy fanboys who didn't like it just because it had women in it.
Yeah.
I thought that I didn't like it as much as a lot of people, although I did definitely enjoy it. But I realized, like, as time went on, I loved it because of the characters. I loved it because the four female leads are fantastic.
And Chris Hemsworth
is
was
also
really good.
fantastic, and it does such a fun job of like, it's like, you know, surprised, you know, men can be dumb too. They can be the dumb, quote unquote, hot secretary also, which I thought.
And that was the start of more of his comedic roles in that movie.
What I didn't like about the 2016 version was that it felt like it took a lot of the horror out, but a lot of comedy in, which bothered me because I was genuinely scared of the original Ghostbusters.
It's like
when it first came out.
Ghostbusters, but bridesmaids.
Exactly.
In
Yeah.
a
So
sense.
now looking at this version, now I'm scared that they're putting too much horror.
Oh, yeah.
And
Not
like
enough
taking
comedy.
not enough comedy. And obviously that's completely unfair of me
Yeah.
because like it should be a good movie on its own, and horror is like my favorite genre, so I'm excited for that. But it's just my heart. I know it's just my heart aching for the original charm that the original had. So it sucks, but I completely understand. It's super subjective, just personal opinion.
If it helps, I don't think Jason Reitman can help but be funny.
Yeah, true. So we'll see. Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay, next. Morbius just came out, the trailer. Ako,
It's just like such a. It just looks such
For
a.
me-
I have no
What if-
comments. It's just, it doesn't look good.
It just feels like Venom, but with Morbius.
Yeah, and I hated Venom, so.
And but the Venom 2 is being directed by Andy Serkis.
Seriously?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm so excited. Sorry,
Okay.
but yeah, same opinion. It's just
There's
like
such
whatever. I don't care.
There's such a contingent of like Venom fans on my.
There is, like, there's lots of people who love this movie.
I love Venom.
Oh, you love it? Okay. Yeah.
I enjoyed watching it.
I didn't think it was fun. That was
Like
the
when
thing.
you read it as a rom-com. It's
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
I tried.
It's insane.
It's not there.
Well, it's.
Yeah.
That's
I
fine.
guess
It's
this
fine.
one will show how
Can
Sony
Andy
will
Serkis
try
pull
to
it off?
like
Yeah.
After the
be
movie,
part of the
which is-
MCU.
But also the director, because if Morbius doesn't have a good track record, I don't remember what he's directed.
Fun
But
fact: Andy Serkis' son was on a lot of people's list for best upcoming young actor.
Oh.
Who's his son?
God, his name's like Andrew Serkis, and like he's in this film. Oh my gosh, I'll look it up. But he's getting a lot of like
Yeah.
traction for being like a great young
I
actor.
barely remember this movie.
exactly.
Yeah, movies is very like whatever.
Yeah, it
whatever.
exists.
It exists. Cool.
I mean, sorry. Just okay. The only comment I'll make is that I the closest the superhero that I know the most about, although I'm not like a huge comic book fan, is Spider-Man. And I feel like if you're gonna make a movie about a semi-obscure Spider-Man villain, you can do so much better than Morbius. But okay,
If you're gonna do like
They're really
Joker.
banking on
yeah, or do
that na lang,
like
you know?
Kraven the Hunter, man, or something like that. Anyway,
But that's such a heavy. I think the Craven.
yeah,
Spidey.
Morbius is a vampire.
No, I mean like if you relate it to
It's
Spider-Man,
too
it's
Spider-Man.
too reliant on Spider-Man.
Maybe
also.
that's true. Okay.
The film Andy Serkis' son is in is called The Boy Who Would Be King. It's a retell.
Oh, no, I watched
heard a lot
that.
of great things.
I
about
watched that.
it.
This was fun.
It was fun, though.
And he's the lead actor. And
Yeah,
he's
I had no
and
idea that was Andy
fantastic. I've had
Serkis.
his-
Is that new?
2019, early 2019.
okay.
I've heard
It's
a
like
lot
when
about
I
it.
realized.
Oh, I think I saw-
Devil's Daughter.
I completely
Wow.
got his name wrong. It's Louis Ashburn Circus, not Andrew Circus. Louis Ashburn Circus, and
I think
I've
Andrew
heard,
Serkis is Andy Serkis.
and I've heard that he's fantastic, and the movie's
He's
really
good, he's
fun,
good,
so-
yeah.
And he's
And
like
this is a
11,
young
but
kid.
He's like 11, 12.
He's good, he's good.
So yeah.
Legacies. Okay,
Nepotism.
next.
Next.
Mabilis lang to. I guess we've all Birds of Prey and
I think it looks
its
fun.
fabulous
It looks-
emancipation of Harley.
It looks
One
fun.
Harley Quinn.
It's a
looks fun.
sucks for me just because it's a yes for me just because it's fun.
Same. And
Margot
Margot
Robbie
Robbie, period.
Yes,
Robbie
because
good.
support for female
And
directors.
she has championed this movie so much.
Who's directing this?
Kathy Yan, I believe is her
Oh
name.
yeah, right. That's right.
And hashtag Pinoy Pride. We have a Filipino
Yeah.
in the cast. Si Ella May Basco
Ella May
is playing
Oh.
what's her face?
I don't remember. Sorry.
One of the Birds of Prey.
Oh, is that her?
Cassandra Cain, Cassie Cain.
Is that her? Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't
know.
that's right.
The thing that I got from the movie, although I do say yes to it, is that I got like literally nobody. I cared so far about literally nobody except for Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the point.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah,
There's so
pero
many people.
My only comment is why are the character designs so boring?
I like them. I like.
Like you
them.
can make Huntress.
They just
I like them.
I don't know.
No, I like that they don't look quote unquote nice. That they look DIY and slapped on. Because like at least the colors of the film itself
Yeah,
are so
it
bright.
makes sense, but like I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be better than Suicide
Yeah.
Squad.
It's not a.
Yeah,
Although-
I'm excited, and it
Although
comes
I
out.
did enjoy Suicide Squad a lot more than most people. I definitely think it cannot
Yeah.
be worse than Suicide Squad.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just hoping this becomes like the revival of Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah, she's been missing for a while.
Great.
Sky
Gemini
High.
Man.
What was her name in Sky
And
High?
before that, she was in Cloverfield.
I don't remember.
Yeah, Cloverfield was great.
That's Ramona
she's
Flowers.
The India style.
Yeah,
What was her name in Sky High?
Oh no.
Vine Girl.
Oh, she wasn't
But say
She was not. She wasn't.
sorry.
She's the evil. But she's the evil
Oh,
one.
Major Pain.
yeah.
Major Pain.
Iconic Sky
Anyway.
High.
Sky High.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Back to the superhero movies. Black Widow.
I'm glad Florence Pugh and
Pugh.
Rachel Weisz are getting their money.
David Harbour also.
David
Yeah.
Harbour. I'm glad
After
everyone's
Hellboy
getting paid.
failed, so
Hellboy
Yeah.
I'm
was.
glad
Interesting.
everyone's getting money.
I'm just sucked so far.
ako rin, sucks so far. I'll
But
watch it.
I'm interested to see how they will make
Yeah.
this into a talked about
Yeah.
ish film. I don't know.
Crossing my fingers.
The colors bummed me out.
And
Yeah.
again, the character
It's
design,
house style.
Taskmaster is done. I
Yeah,
didn't
just
like how they
just
did
give him the white cape and the skull.
Yeah, yun nga eh. Why
mean,
does it always
yeah.
have to be like this?
A soldier.
I'm
yeah.
gonna say hesitant, yes, just because so far Florence Pugh hasn't had like a bad choice, and David Harbour just I don't even watch Stranger Things, but he's such an endearing man.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, and I don't like. I'm not as indifferent to ScarJo as a lot of people are. I genuinely like her as an actress. I think she was great. She had a great year also. So this is her chance to.
I wanna be like
Yeah.
a tree.
So yeah, I'm a hesitant, yes.
Yeah, same.
ScarJo good.
Yeah, I
I just
mean,
want to make that
I'm
note.
kind of like between
Yeah.
Sax and Yas. Also.
like-
ScarJo acting good.
ScarJo.
Yeah, no,
ScarJo,
true,
ScarJo
true,
person. bad.
True.
ScarJo person.
ScarJo person. Huh?
Yeah, but like that her in her just
Yes.
blazed in my
Oh,
brain.
Yes, yes.
That's like peak. It's that and Lost in Translation.
Yeah, like everyone's all like, ScarJo's just pretty face. No, like bam, her.
Bro.
Bam, Lost in Translation.
Yeah.
It's like she did a movie with two exes and they're both great.
Yeah.
You know she has a Tony Award.
Yeah, she does.
Does she?
She won a Tony for a straight
What do
play.
you call this?
One-fourth of an EGOT.
yeah, exactly.
And she sings too. She can get.
Yeah.
She's
One-fourth of an
nominated
EGOT.
twice, and she joins an extremely prestigious list of actors who are nominated for both supporting and
Yeah.
the main quote unquote category, I guess.
She's winning. That's my fearless forecast. She's winning.
Ooh,
I like that.
interesting.
My fearless forecast for the Oscars is Lighthouse winning cinematog. Sorry.
Okay.
Anyway.
Anyway.
So I guess mamaya
Yeah.
we'll get there. Last in the Heights.
Oh
let's
my
just say
God!
it's a yes.
Oh
That's
my
it.
It's not. It's beyond a yes.
Oh my God.
I listened to. I think I was I the one that made you listen to Hamilton, Emil?
No.
No. Okay. Well, Hamilton. When I first heard about Hamilton, and I was one of the first people that got on it because I joined Blue Rep that year specifically, and everyone's talking about Hamilton. I listened to it so I could feel like I belonged in Blue Rep, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I was obsessed with it for like years. And Emil, who also eventually became a fan of Hamilton,
I was always a fan of. I was on NPR.
Eventually.
I was on NPR the day the cast album dropped.
Same,
Anyway.
same.
okay, sorry. I just mean like eventually when we found out we were both fans of
Yes.
Hamilton, you told me to listen to Lin-Manuel's
In
In
the
the
Heights, man.
and like a year later, finally I
so
listened to
good.
it, and I'm going to use one of the few times we can swear on this podcast. I fucking loved it. It's so good.
Sorry, just
So and then the trailer is just there's one thing that throws me off about the trailer, but everything else is
yeah, the start.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Nakakaiyak yung trailer, ah. Like for some reason.
What threw you off?
The fact that he's still on a beach in the beginning.
Oh,
of the
Yeah,
trailer.
it changes the ending kind of.
So it's
but-
like
Well,
That could also be
what
like
I can
a
say is
We'll
compared to
see.
Cats, this looks really grand. the
no,
musical numbers.
This looks like a movie musical that's actually made for the screen.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
where
exactly.
all the actors can actually sing, they can actually dance.
Yeah.
they're all cast like ethnically and correctly.
Yeah. Man.
And the guy who plays Benny, fun fact, he was like in Straight
Dr.
Outta
Dre.
Compton as Dr. Dre.
Dr.
He's
Dre.
fantastic in Straight Outta
And
Compton.
the lead, Anthony Ramos, was the original cast of
Hamilton,
Hamilton,
yeah.
but he was also Lady Gaga's best friend in A Star Is Born.
yeah.
But yeah, it's my favorite Broadway musical of all time, and I'm so happy.
I would like to say same. It is also my favorite Broadway musical of all time. I like the musical is very personal to me, so I also feel very protective of it.
Yes.
So I hope the movie's good. I'm trying to not have expectations because it's like to get a bit it arrived at a very specific point in my life, and like I am of the opinion like it's like I am also in the minority in that I've cooled on Hamilton a fair bit. I haven't listened to it in 3 years. I've never felt the need to.
That's fine.
But like In the Heights, I go back to it every few months. Like it feels like a North Star to me. So any adaptation of In the Heights, even if it's bad, like I don't care if it's bad, it's In the Heights. You know?
Yeah.
And it will bring it to a bigger audience.
Yeah,
I hope
Definitely.
so. I mean,
Yeah.
that no one talks.
I
about
think
it.
so, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And it won Best Musical.
Yeah.
Yep, it
I
is.
have faith naman kasi Lin is involved. He's in the musical as Pirago
Yes,
guy.
He's everywhere.
And see, they got the same. The screenwriter is the person who wrote the book for In the Heights, who, since writing In the Heights, has won the Pulitzer Prize
Yes.
for drama. So
Oh,
I'm
wow.
assuming she's gotten better.
Yeah.
Because the story of In the Heights does have a lot
Yes.
of problems.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's
That's what I was
not-
about to say.
It's not exactly.
It has
Yeah,
so much
know.
in terms of the two major musicals Lynn has written, and Hamilton and In the Heights. I would say Hamilton's a lot more together as a story.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
the songs flow together.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not
The whole
better,
thing's a
but
song.
yeah, exactly. The whole-
But In the Heights feels very like
It's
passion
pure.
project.
Exactly,
talaga.
yeah, exactly.
It feels like
And it was something he developed
Yeah.
in college.
Yeah,
kasi, diba?
exactly.
yeah.
So,
has that energy.
I have faith that Kiara Hudes, who writes it,
Yeah.
like has tweaked the story in ways that make sense. So
Yeah.
So we're excited to see In the Heights.
it
When does
better
it come out?
End of June. End of
Coming
June.
out
End
here.
of
It's
June.
coming out.
yeah,
Okay.
end of June.
Better.
And
coming out here. If it
Okay.
doesn't, like, we're
Riot.
involved.
Just
We riot.
fly to Washington
deep
Heights.
breaths. Yeah.
It's a yes. Next, we head to a short briefer on the award circuit. Golden
whatever.
Globes winners.
Yeah, 'cause I'm
you can
tired.
search them up.
The most, I'm just going to say. I'm just going to say
Bahala kayo.
one thing about the Globes, because they're generally like. I mean, yeah, they influence a little bit of the
bit.
eventual.
By virtue of being first.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But the biggest what the
Freak.
moment for me was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood winning best.
Sorry, Danny.
What is it?
Sorry,
Comedy.
Danny.
Comedy.
Best comedy.
Comedy.
It's just it's
Best
it's more-
musical
it's not
or
even- It's not
comedy.
even that. It's just that why does it fit into that category?
I have no idea.
Why does that?
It's barely
I'm
a
still,
comedy. My only gripe
I'm
about it.
always confused about the musical or comedy.
Yeah,
I've-
I don't
Yeah.
mind it
Weird.
winning
It's a-
awards.
it's
I've always
dumb
hated
split.
that split.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just the Globes are so stupid. Everyone's drunk during
Most
the ceremony.
most musicals that they nominate.
yeah, but also
And that opening intro ni Ricky Gervais
I saw a
was
bunch of
really
people retweet on.
I haven't watched it because I don't like Ricky
Like,
Gervais.
I also really don't like Ricky
a bunch
Gervais.
of
And he's a
people
comedy fan.
have put it on my timeline and it's all like, this is deep, yeah, Dragon. I'm like,
Oh,
no.
Yeah.
it's just this transphobic
my
man getting
biggest.
drunk.
Let's just talk about the
He
Ricky
thinks he's
Gervais
edgy
part
'cause he's
instead of the
devious.
awards. Yes, but the thing about Ricky Gervais that's my problem is that he it claims to be extremely self-aware when in my opinion he's like the most in a lot of ways he's the most unaware because he is a celebrity. He
Yeah.
could be helping, he could be donating, he literally I think has over $100 million in net worth, and you're telling me that you're like it annoys me that he thinks that he's a good guy among all these Hollywood people.
Yeah.
Because he's not. He's exactly the same as all of them.
I don't think he thinks he's a good guy. I
Yeah.
think he thinks he's right.
Oh yeah, no, there,
He's
exactly.
the only sane man.
Yeah,
No.
when in my opinion, I feel like I look at other people like Tom Hanks who are quietly doing things
Yeah.
in our own local industry. Somebody like Angel Locsin, like they're the
Yeah.
ones, they're the ones who
Stan.
quietly make an impact. He's just loud. That's the only reason why he
Yeah.
gets noticed,
Yeah.
and that's why I don't like him. So yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, screw the Globes. who
So
cares?
yeah, I
Let's go
mean,
to the Globe.
at least they gave recognition to Aquafina,
Yeah, Taron Egerton.
Taron.
yeah.
That's what I would say.
Which is-
It's
yeah.
really great.
Weirdly,
that they
mas diverse pa yung
got, and
list.
Aquafina is made history as the
Yeah, she
first
won.
Asian
Yeah.
woman, right?
Yeah.
That's
So congrats.
Yeah.
I know.
The rest,
That's her-
I guess you can
Wow.
just Google.
Yeah,
I mean,
Google,
1917
nothing-
won best drama.
Yeah.
Nothing particularly shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, you
That's
know,
what I'd say. It's
nothing-
very
nothing to get
chill
excited
cinema.
about.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we'll go to Oscar So White part.
Again, part
How
Oscar
many?
so
part
male.
86.
Part, yeah.
Oscar so male, Oscar so white, Oscar so.
Oscar so-
Oscar
yeah.
so, you know.
Yeah, it's painful to
Yeah.
watch because it always feels like they take us like 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Well,
but,
one step forward, 2 steps back.
yeah, probably.
But what I really liked is what Bong
Junho.
Joon-ho
Bong Joon-ho,
said.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a
how
local
it's a
industry.
very
It
local.
really is.
I feel like,
awards show.
It's I follow it the most among because it's obviously the most like
Prestigious
media friendly and everything.
one.
I mean, yeah, no, but that's exactly what I was
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
talk about in the whole. It's the most prestigious. In my opinion, it's actually not even the most
It's
prestigious.
not like if you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the most popular.
If ever I made a film and it only won an Oscar, I'd feel really bad because that just means Hollywood liked my movie and rather than the world liking my movie.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm so happy that, for example, something like Parasite has like pedigree in so many different countries.
Yeah.
Because that means that it's a universally accepted film.
Yeah.
So, and looking at like last year with Green Book, Green Book didn't win anything in any other freaking
Well, Green Book won TIFF's People Choice Award,
but that's also like
which is
white.
also extremely
Right,
white.
yeah. So like, Parasite won at Bucheon, Parasite won at the Hong Kong Festival.
And speaking of Parasite, people have feelings here about a possible HBO
oh yeah,
adaptation or like mini series.
Yeah.
Are we gonna,
With
Are we talking
Bong
about that?
Joon-ho and
jump
let's just jump.
Okay,
Let's
sure.
jump to this.
you know,
Okay,
Fish is still
sure.
great.
Okay.
I mean, we know
I think
Twitter has a conversation.
the involvement of Bong Joon-ho is definitely a good thing. And here I read something where he said that he wanted to. It wasn't gonna be like a sequel or anything. It was
Yes.
just gonna expand the world, which
yeah.
is a good idea. But if he's just gonna be a producer and they're gonna get Adam McKay to direct it, I think he's the absolute. Hindi naman the worst, but he's the wrong choice for that kind of story
Yeah.
because Adam McKay recently, like, I mean, he has like two settings. He has Anchorman, and then he has shaky cam, crash zoom, Big Short Vice style direction.
Yeah.
And that works for certain movies like The Big Short, which is very like that style
The Big
fits
Short,
because it's
yeah.
fact based and whatnot.
Yeah.
But okay, because as a Succession fan, he directed the first episode of Succession, and he did the same thing, and it was awful.
Yeah.
And all the other directors for that season were like, "Oh, he set the tone, so we have to do the same thing." And the whole season just feels off because they're trying to do this thing where they're making it like a documentary. And season 2, he's not involved anymore, so they just got rid of that aesthetic. So I don't know what direction the series is gonna take.
Yeah.
I'm still not convinced enough in Adam McKay's like creative choices recently, especially after Vice. So yeah, it's a hindi naman a pass, but it's like a sax closer to pass for me.
Yeah.
It's a sigh.
It's a sigh.
Well, ako, I agree. I mean, Bong Joon-ho's involvement is a good sign, but why even try to like touch
Yeah.
something that's already really good on its own?
Mine is like I was thinking about it, and I don't want to just play devil's advocate, but also I feel like a lot of people just pounced on the idea. Like when I saw Bong was involved, I was like immediately like, okay,
Yeah.
you know. And my thinking is, Parasite is like everyone says it's universal, but it's also very specifically Korean. So I think if you transplant that to a different culture, I think there's still something to say there. It's not J.J. Abrams adapting Kimi no Na wa,
Yeah.
and live action Kimi no Na wa.
God.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's not the English adaptation of Force Majeure or Tony Erdmann, which is like these are very
Banger examples.
These are like modern European hits
Yeah.
that you can pretty
Yeah.
easily transplant into an American
Yeah.
setting. But I think Parasite is so uniquely Asian that uniquely Korean in like it's so specific, like in how it portrays Korean culture.
Yeah.
Like it's too specific to not be both universal. And,
Yeah.
you know. So I think transplanting that to a different like culture, especially one as complicated as the United States,
Yeah.
and having Bong on board, who's thoughtful and like he's the best social commentary director. I think who can also make it fun. You know.
Yeah.
It
So
could
I'm-
work.
Like it could work. I'm not hopeful, but like I don't feel like it's an immediately terrible idea.
Okay.
It's may not be the best idea, but I like it. Again, it's not J.J. Abrams.
I'm like on the opposite side where I'm like Ayas. I'm really hopeful. I'm really excited for this because a few things. And I know that recency bias is a little bit part of this because I recently just watched the Roundtable of Hollywood Reporter with a bunch of directors, and Lulu Wang brought up a really interesting point where, because she directed some of The Farewell in China and some of The Farewell in America, and she said that one of the really interesting things was that her crews would interact with her very differently based on where they would shoot the film. So in America, they're very like obedient in a lot of ways. Like you say, okay, I need this, and then they all like go out, do it. It's all fixed, whatever. And in Asia, they would like in what do you call this? In America, they would call her Lulu, right? Or Director Wang, whatever. In Asia, they didn't even bother like calling her by her name. They just called her the director, and they would. If she would request for something and it didn't necessarily, if they didn't understand why they needed to do it, they'd question it. In other words, there was a lot more agency going on, which is both, good and bad thing. So there's that, and there's also director Bong Joon-ho is a part of it, and his pedigree like he did the previous films that he's done with Okja and Host and everything. All of them have a very, very distinct style to it, and he has also been a producer in some of those films, and obviously a writer and everything. With his style and thinking about Adam McKay's style, even before The Big Short with Anchorman, that combination of those two things is what makes me hopeful, because Bong Joon-ho has a very specific humor that I don't think a lot of people pick up on. Parasite is very funny.
Yeah.
Parasite's
It's
hilarious.
very, very funny, especially in the first half, and it's a very particular kind of humor that I think, surprisingly, when I think about Anchorman, it actually fits very well, because Anchorman's also probably one of my favorite Will Ferrell movies and one of my favorite Adam McKay movies, and the humor is very exaggerated, it's very over the top, but ultimately it talks of Anchorman's ultimately about celebrity. What do you call this? For me, like if you want to be like super like, oh, it has to have a deeper meaning, I would say that Anchorman's about being a celebrity and how difficult it is to be a celebrity, how outrageous their lifestyles are, and I think it captures it very, very well. And I think that that's something that Bong Joon-ho does a lot too with his comedy, is that it's funny, but then you like tear up a little bit because it's kind of true. Like when the people in Parasite talking about how difficult it is for them to be poor, that the lengths that they have to go through to get even a fraction of what the higher class gets. So that's why I'm very excited about the film, and it's HBO, which is probably my favorite. Like in terms of the films that in terms of the series that they output, because they have Barry.
They have a
Basically,
good track
yeah.
record.
They had Game of Thrones.
Yes, at Game of Thrones, which I haven't seen.
I haven't seen.
So that's another reason why I'm so excited about it. Then they also did Chernobyl.
Yeah.
So you know,
I like that we're a spectrum that goes from negative to positive.
yeah. So that's why I'm
Nice table.
very, very yes for it. Super excited.
Okay.
Interesting.
So last bits of the Academy Awards. Saoirse Ronan is the second youngest
Oh,
four-time
yes.
nominee in
Yes.
history.
Yes.
Behind J-Lo by only like
Yes.
4 months. So like
Yeah.
technically
Yeah.
They're
they
the same.
they have
And-
it's the same.
And like, sorry, J-Lo, you're still great, but Saoirse deserved every nomination. I don't
Yeah.
know if you did for American Hustle, but I still love you.
I've seen
Yeah.
Where is J-Lo?
Wala.
For being rich,
Yeah, true. Probably stopped caring after she did Mother.
but like,
Winter's Bone pa rin. J-Lo Winter's Bone.
Yeah.
but,
Okay.
you know, Saoirse great. Lady Bird, best movie of the decade. That's all I have to say.
What else? Joker led the nominations
Oh.
at 11.
They made a
noms.
movie about the Joker.
It's called The Dark Knight, right?
Clown Prince of Crime.
I am not a person that hates the Joker like a lot of people do.
I don't hate
But
it.
how
Hate it.
in God's name does it have 11 nominations?
It beat The Irishman, Once Upon a Time in
I
Hollywood,
know.
and 1917.
And I think The Irishman was easily going to be the most nominated movie this year. So it's insane to me that the Joker.
Well,
And of course all the
congrats to them.
And of course, a bunch of writers in the US are saying like, the Joker finally destroyed the comic book bias Hollywood. Yeah, Black
Panther won 3 Oscars.
Jesus Christ! Oh my God, it makes
Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse.
Jesus,
Yeah.
it makes me so angry.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. I mean, you know, I don't like dunking on Joker because I don't think it deserves the attention.
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah.
it's just
It is. It's
like
there.
I feel like something I'll say for general like Oscar etiquette is that obviously it's fun to argue about what deserves to win and stuff like
Yes,
that. But
exactly.
like if we're gonna like make enemies out of people and insult people for their intelligence just because they like movies, we're taking it a little bit too far.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
like I don't like talking about Joker just because like it's sort of become like The Last Jedi, and if you give a little bit of an opinion that's contrary to the popular opinion, suddenly you are
yeah.
criminalized sort
Yeah.
of. So like I also don't hate Joker. I'm surprised that it has 11. When I look at the 11 nominations, I actually think I can see how it deserves most of them.
Yes, most of
But
Yeah.
the major ones I don't understand.
Yes.
Like screenplay, I can give it to Joaquin Phoenix, fine. I mean the not the nomination, not the win. I can see the nomination,
Yeah.
naman. Director,
Yeah.
director, absolutely not. Picture, absolutely not.
Yes. Exactly. Those are the two biggest ones. It's like,
Yeah.
what the...
I mean, my forecast is Bong gets director. And
I can see that.
Same,
Oh,
I can see
and
that
Once
too.
Upon a Time gets picture. I hope that will happen. I hope The Darkest Timeline doesn't happen.
It's the
And yeah,
Danny.
I hope they pull a Moonlight / Spotlight those years when like those movies just came out of nowhere and won.
Speaking of Moonlight, La La Land was my last Jedi. That was horrible.
Oh yeah, that's
La La Land
yeah
was
same.
I'm on the other side, of course.
Yeah.
I love La La Land.
Yeah, same.
No, yeah, I love La La Land.
No,
You said-
he meant like it was his situation where you give an opinion and then people attack him
Okay,
for
okay,
liking
okay.
La La
I got it. I get it. I get it.
That was
I have a lot of
Yeah.
friends who
year.
greatly dislike
Yeah.
La La Land.
True.
I understand. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's
like,
just
like I'm not high on Moonlight.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've said
And
it
when
on
people
the
say that
record.
they like Joker,
I am
see, the
like-
thing is, I can understand why they like the Joker. So
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
I've surprisingly a lot of friends who aren't sexist and they're not like they're not like incel dude bros. A lot of them are girls.
Yeah.
And they genuinely like it.
Yeah.
And like yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, I don't think it's wrong to dislike the Joker.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
That's
and
my
it's
thing.
not
Yeah.
wrong to like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's
either.
not wrong to
Yeah.
like
And
it.
it's also not wrong to think
Yeah,
it doesn't
that's what I was
deserve
gonna
Oh no,
say.
yeah, no,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Kasi-
It's just surprising talaga.
Ibang usapan kasi yung like should we give it an award? Like I
Yeah.
feel like the discussion over its quality is
Yeah.
completely subjective. But when you talk about let's give them golden statues that we spent money on that will directly affect how much
How much, like, what money goes where?
yeah, exactly. Then it becomes a little bit
Yeah.
more political.
And this is all in light that Greta Gerwig was snubbed for Little Women.
Well,
so-
not just, I mean, like, if we're
Yeah.
gonna go wide, it's if you were going to snub a woman, you snub women every year.
Yeah.
You can't snub a woman this year. Greta Gerwig, Olivia Wilde, Alma Harrell,
Lulu Wang.
Mary Job, Lulu Wang,
Celine Sciamma.
Yeah.
Joanna Hogg. This is the year
And
of
it's
women
like
directors.
Jesus Christ.
And like you let like Todd Phillips sneak in. And I argue he ruined Joaquin's performance. That's my argument.
Ooh, no, I can
I think
I can see that.
Joaquin was fine. I don't think
I
it's
think
one of his
he was-
best.
yeah.
He's done
Yeah.
this so many times. This is his role. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah,
on
exactly.
autopilot.
Yeah.
But I think the performance is actively mangled by Todd Phillips, and I don't think that's the main reason I
Yeah.
don't think Joker works.
Sorry, like I agree, but in back of my head I was thinking that's me with cats.
Oh, yeah, that's also me with Cats.
Yeah.
That's also me with Cats.
I mean, with Joaquin Phoenix, he's the one that I think is most deserving among. I mean, like,
I think score.
He does.
oh yeah, no, I was about to say like it's up there with
Of
the
the
other
Joker
stuff that-
Awards,
Yeah,
I thought like
yeah,
of
score,
the people
score's great also.
nominated for.
But I
And the score has like a historic ano rin to it, diba?
Be the first
The
solo
first solo woman.
yeah.
Oh, I think it wins then. But anyway, I think Joaquin, of the guys who are nominated for Best Actor, I think Joaquin's the most deserving of a legacy Oscar.
Yeah, no,
And
that's
then
the thing.
I'm just gonna pretend he won it for The Master.
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
her.
I would
don't know,
be so
whichever.
blown away if like I feel like a lot of people expect Adam Driver to win, but I would honestly be surprised if Adam Driver won.
No, I think Joaquin's the favorite.
Yeah,
I
no,
really
Joaquin
do.
is the favorite.
I really
Let's
do
Wait
think
for the
Joaquin-
SAGs, cross your fingers.
Yeah.
Let's go Antonio Banderas time.
If he came out of nowhere and won, that would be like
Jonathan Price, bro. Jonathan Price.
Banderas. I'm Team Banderas.
I'm
I've seen 4 or 5. I'm Team Banderas.
And my heart, the one that I'm looking out the most among the categories is supporting actor, of course, because it has Joe Pesci and it has Al Pacino.
No, but that's the,
that's
that's the
Brad
one. That's
Pitt
the
is gonna
surest
win.
Yeah,
one.
I know.
That's the
Brad
surest
Pitt is
one.
gonna win.
yeah. But I just want Joe Pesci to win another award. I love him so much.
I
think
just
he's the most
want
underrated.
Baby Yoda to win.
For best visual effects.
Yeah, Baby
I
Yoda.
think the race except for actress are pretty.
Wala na masabi,
Yeah,
Baby Yoda
that's why
na
I'm
lang.
saying like
Yeah.
it would be amazing if
But-
he just came
But I
out.
haven't seen the
If
I haven't seen the
Banderas
Irishman to have
Just flip
Same.
a
out.
say on that yet.
But
so-
you heard it here first, 2021 Best Picture in the Heights. Crossing my fingers, God. It's gonna destroy the West Side Story remake. Sorry,
is
with
it
Ansel Elgort.
Is it also 2020
Yes,
West Side
also
Story?
It's coming out the same.
Oh,
time.
okay.
It has nowhere near
It has
the amount of
Ansel
hype.
Elgort.
Steven Spielberg.
But the thing is, I love Ansel Elgort. He's great.
No, but I don't see him in West Side Story.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't make parang as a Tony.
No, I mean no.
white.
The character is white naman, but like
Yeah, I guess.
But
That
he's
was
not-
wrong
he's
too, though.
not
I wish that
Tony.
the main character wasn't white in West Side Story.
he's not
That doesn't make
Tony.
any sense to me, but
But I love the actress playing Maria. She's really great
is
on Twitter. What's her
On
name?
Twitter.
Rachel Zegler.
On Twitter.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
She's really.
Yeah.
I mean, she parang. Did you see that Oscar Isaac tweet? Na parang she tweeted, "I love you, Oscar Isaac,"
Yeah.
and then Oscar Isaac
Oh,
replied
yeah,
her
yeah,
and all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And she freaked
She
out.
has really great tweets and posts
But she's
in
an actor,
general.
right?
Yeah.
She's a theater. She
Oh, okay,
she also
okay.
did theater.
Yeah, but honestly, what really matters is you shoot off the fire tweets. No amount of Oscars can beat being good at Twitter.
Yeah.
Yes, sure.
Okay, so I guess this is just gonna be a breeze
Yeah.
now. A couple of picked up shows. Superman and Lois will have their own show on the
That's
CW
cool.
now.
This is from the same Arrowverse.
Yeah, it's
people.
Arrowverse. Since Arrow, yeah, Tyler
Is this
Hecklin.
still- Is Lois Bitsy Tulok?
I forgot
Forgot her name.
act.
Well, Crisis on Infinite Earths is extremely solid, by the way.
Yeah, it just ended.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. I
It's
waited
okay.
for the 5 to be
It
done.
went back and started watching because I gave up on the Flash after like season 3, I think 2 or 3, and then I just came back to watch Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's great, and Ezra Miller,
Oh yeah.
fantastic.
I mean,
I was so shocked by that.
That's
I
them
mean,
saying we're going to do the Flash movie.
if we're giving a rating for that, I'm sucks with it. Like from the little I've seen, Tyler Hoechlin isn't my favorite part of the Arrowverse. Like,
Oh, it's a yes. I
would-
really like his Superman.
I guess because I'm coming into the Arrowverse as an outsider, because I don't watch any of the regular shows. But
Oh,
the
okay.
person I'm most impressed by, like just watching Crisis, is what's her name, Melissa Benoist. I think she's so good as Supergirl.
She is, she is.
I want to see her in a movie.
The sad part is Supergirl has the worst
I mean, yes,
visual
Whiplash,
effects.
sure.
Supergirl has the
Hey,
like,
but
it's
she's
painful
so
how,
good.
No, it's
She
painful
is,
how
she
bad
is.
this visual effects.
Yeah, I
in
know, but
Supergirl
she's
are.
so good. Anyway,
Percy Superman, when you see him in the Supergirl episodes he appears on, and even as Clark Kent, it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
a really
Solid
fun
yung-
yeah.
portrayal.
solid yung Brandon Routh return though as Superman. So.
I will just
Tsaka yung
agree with you.
Kevin
because I haven't
Conroy
seen it.
Batman. Yeah.
Kevin Conroy.
Okay, You season 3 has been picked up with Penn Badgley and Victoria Pedretti
Yeah, she's back. Okay,
returning.
but I don't watch
It's gonna be really
watch also.
interesting. Watch you. I mean, if you love true crime and
Watch
psycho
you.
killers.
No particular opinion, but I think my office mates will be very happy.
I like.
And lastly, there's an upcoming Voltus 5 live action series
I'm
for
so-
GMA coming
okay.
out later this year.
Okay, I think we have
You get-
some tea.
It's called Voltus 5 Legacy. T.
I am terrified of this remake.
Oh, okay.
And it's the first ever live action remake
I'm not gonna
ever.
like, generalize and say like ABS is terrified. Obviously, anything I've said on any of these episodes is just me talking. But we discussed it a little bit when it first came out. Not just on a personal level, but kind of on a professional, like looking at it like, oh, okay, GMA. Like there's shows, and obviously I'm from ABS, and there's like. And even before I joined ABS, I kind of liked the shows that I think TV has always been kind of ABS's like
Yeah.
they're even more than their movies. I think they've been really dominant. Them making a live action Voltus 5 scares me because it's, how do I put this? The thing that GMA I think does particularly poorly is I feel like they forget to review the stuff that they output, and I mean that in like the nicest way possible. But I genuinely feel like their stuff comes across as sometimes a bit rugged and tone deaf even sometimes. Is because I genuinely feel like they've given up on the idea of making good TV. I mean that in the nicest way possible because
The tea has been spilled.
They've had some great shows, but
The library is open.
You're gonna see some like
I
laser
know.
lights on you.
but I feel like here's the thing about GMA.
In the great tradition.
When they hit with a show, it's fantastic, and for me, it's always because of the people behind the show. Like particularly the creators are super invested in the thing that they're making, and I'm not entirely sure who's behind this Voltus 5 remake. But if it's not a Voltus 5 fan, it's going to be bad. It's going to
based
be
on
bad.
what I've read, it is a Voltus 5
because
fan.
I just feel like they just don't care about their TV shows.
Yeah.
If you watch their TV, it just doesn't feel like they care. I will say that that's one of the things that ABS does really well, is that they care a lot about the stuff that they put out.
man.
And if it comes off as like pangmasa or whatever, it's probably because we wanted it to be that way. It's not always
Yeah.
with like the best. Sometimes we just have to make money. That's just the way the business works. And sometimes we'll make.
But it's such a big legacy to like, and it
God, I have so many
ironically
I have
it's
so
called
many feelings
Voltus
about
5
this. I completely
Legacy.
forgot we were going to talk about this. It just caught me off guard. I feel like I'm blindsided, but I won't send us the agenda before this. But
Well, I can say it's ambitious, and I hear nga that
geez, that's like an understatement.
I hope they use like people in rubber suits.
Lord Almighty.
Pero yun nga,
I am hopeful simply because even though they are a rival network or whatever, because I want it to be great. I love all.
Yeah, yeah.
It was one of my favorite shows growing up as a kid, but. Prove me wrong, GMA. Prove to me that you care about your shows, please.
Them's fighting words, man.
well, yeah, I mean, yun nga, even Japan didn't dare to make it into a live action. So how would the Philippines like make it happen?
Oh, that's so scary.
Baka one episode lang siya.
No, what I hear is that it's not a daily show. It's gonna be a week.
Yeah,
They're gonna shoot everything
You cannot
and have like
You can't do that. At
yeah.
daily
So
show.
it's gonna be interesting for sure. Something to watch out for.
Yeah,
Coco
again,
Martin pala
GMA has had
yung-
some banger shows, but I feel
Coco
like
Martin pala yung
And aside from
creator.
Voltes 5, they have a Philippine adaptation of Descendants of the Sun.
Okay, this I have heard.
that one's just like I don't think they can mess that one up.
Well, it's very the drama naman is very Pinoy, I guess. So
That's why it clicked.
they've done a lot of Filipino
This is one of the most popular
adaptations.
dramas here, right?
Yeah,
When it came out.
Yeah, it was a huge hit. Like even I heard of it.
And you know,
Generally
it's not the
outside
first
their realm.
Korean drama to be adapted to a Filipino.
Yeah.
Ano. So I
It's
mean,
kind of a tradition with us.
yeah. So it's gonna be fine. Breakup season, Jadine.
That
We don't
fake
know if
news.
it's real.
That's not real.
Fake
That's not true.
news.
So it's
I'm
not
here to say
real.
it's not true.
So ano na 2020 na.
And I'm
one
not
is
even
safe.
saying that from like, oh, it's an inside scoop. Like Nadine literally like got
And-
mad and said like, what the hell are you guys talking
And they
about?
posted recently lang din a
Yeah.
picture. But that was like the start of 2020 for a lot of people. Like, oh my gosh, JD.
It's just so ridiculous how people will. Oh, God.
But Jadine will be shocked because Vanessa Hudgens and Austin Butler
That's real.
Painful. That's painful.
broke up after 8 years of being together.
nine.
I love
8,
Zac Efron
9.
news, but it's just sad in general. 9
Like,
years.
is this like a pattern for Vanessa now that
They stayed
tagal
together
nila ni Zach and then wala and then now it's
Tagal.
Time for
Austin?
another High
So
School
is, so
Musical.
is Austin Butler gonna get weird like Zac Efron got weird?
Starring in frat comedies.
He's gonna call up Harmony Korine just like
Oh,
cast me in
God.
Spring Breakers too.
Oh, God.
What was I gonna say? Vanessa Hudgens, just because she's mentioned, she's in. Oh God, she's in this Bad Boys 3, which is
What?
Really?
Yeah, she's in Bad Boys 3.
Yeah, I think it's Bad Boys
her Riverdale's Reggie. I think is
and
on it.
it's such a but okay.
Well, Vanessa has made a lot of choices.
Yeah.
Like Princess Switch.
Capital C
Apparently, the
choices.
Princess Switch also has a sequel
Yeah.
now.
Oh yeah, those Christmas movies.
Yeah.
And the night before Christmas.
Yeah.
was
Oh, God.
another one.
Enchanted with Vanessa Hudgens. What else? Upcoming stuff lang. As I said, Taylor Swift will have Miss Americana documentary on January 31st on Netflix.
That's cool. That's really cool.
It's really interesting to see how much more they can go with the Taylor Swift narrative, especially with everything she came out with
Yeah.
last
She's a
year
storyteller,
and the
which I
Scooter Braun whole fiasco.
God. By the way, Justin Bieber's song "Yummy" sucks. It's
I
terrible.
know it's really bad.
It's the opposite of a top vegan
Jesus
recommendation.
Christ.
It's the opposite of my
I've
recommendation.
never.
later.
I'm curious now because
I
I've
don't-
never listened to
Dear
it.
Nah,
Do I want
You're
to
not
know?
missing anything.
Okay.
Dear God.
And lastly, I mean Taylor Swift, yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Justin Bieber, hell no.
Noah Centineo and Lara Condor from All the Boys. To All the Boys I've Loved Before. And the
what's his
sequel, it's gonna be P.S. I Still Love You.
Jordan Fisher. With
Yeah.
Jordan Fisher, which is
Like
insane.
tangentially related. I read this interesting thing about how Noah Centineo is only popular with people who watch like a shit ton of Netflix rom-coms. And I'm like, that's so interesting.
Like the tall girl movie.
And they're saying
Tall
that,
girl
and they're saying
movie.
that why does Noah Centineo only look malinis when he's in To All the Boys?
Yeah.
The ano,
he always looks like he's trying so hard to be Mark Ruffalo. Doesn't
Yeah.
have the range.
And
I'm
Mark,
sorry.
yeah, Mark Ruffalo.
Like Mark Ruffalo could do.
We didn't even mention Dark Water.
Yeah, Mark.
Dark Waters,
Oh,
yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Oh.
Like Mark Ruffalo could do
Haynes.
Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
Noah Centineo
mean-
can't do Zodiac.
I'll surprise myself and go up the bat a little bit for Noah Centineo and say that on a TV show that he was in called The Fosters, which has a spin-off.
Oh, he was there?
Yeah, he's one of the foster kids, and then it spun off
That
into
was J-Lo's
yeah.
J-Lo produced show, right?
it was spun off into Good Trouble, which is a show I really enjoy, and he cameos in it once in a while, and he's better in that than when he's trying to be like a hunk. So
Yeah.
Well, he's gonna be here together with Lara Condor
yeah, Lana.
on February 15th
Yeah, they're coming here.
No, I meant
in
next
Glorieta.
year.
Well,
That's what I thought.
we can only
Interview,
dream.
popcorn interview game.
can
We
only
take back
dream.
everything we said about Noah.
talk
After
a
you
little bit
dissed Noah
smack about
Centineo.
it.
No, we were kidding. We were kidding.
Yeah, no, it's great.
I actually really did like All the Boys I Love Before.
Yeah,
I
I
haven't
was
seen it.
I was so like, oh,
I thought he was charming naman in Sierra Burgess, even if
oh
the
my
movie itself
gosh,
isn't
that
good.
was like, oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, was that this year or last year?
No, last year.
Okay.
2 years ago,
Was
whatever.
All the Boys this year or last year?
Parang tagal
I think
na.
it was
Last year,
Yeah,
or
it was
parang 2 years
2018. I think it
ago
was
nga.
2018,
That
yeah.
was before I started work, so that should be 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2018, I think.
Okay, so that's pretty much it for our
Oh, we
popcorn
did it.
extravaganza. Our last segment, of course, is our pop stop.
Okay.
Our top picks and recommendations for anything pop culture you consumed and would like to recommend. I'm gonna start. Anti-yummy. Selena Gomez just came out with the Rare,
Jesus.
which is really, really good. Variety
I've
gave it
heard-
100.
I've heard that it's great. So
It has a lot of bops, and people, you can say what you want about how Selena has the worst vocals or whatever, but she has the best bops in main. One of the people who has the best bops in mainstream pop. Yeah, Rare is so good. There's just so much bops, and yeah,
Not a Selena scholar, but like she's been good from what I've heard.
just listen to Rare, I guess. I mean, not Yummy. Sorry to the believers out
sorry,
there.
Believer's song sucks.
I mean,
Hopefully the album's good. I don't know. Maybe
it
it's just
took
one
like
song.
6 people to write Yummy, apparently.
The chorus goes, "You've got that yum yum yummy."
Amazing.
And Selena's songs, kasi this album ni Selena is
Sorry, Jeff.
really like her experience after being with Bieber. So there's a lot of shade here.
How rare.
Very rare.
I mean, it's not shade at Bieber then. It's shade like at his fans maybe. Like how they treated her, or is it shade at Bieber?
But there's also this Twitter thread na conspiracy I wrote
Oh, God.
of how Hailey Baldwin is obsessed with Selena Gomez.
Wait, that you wrote?
No, I read pala. I read. Did I say I wrote?
Yeah, you said
Yeah, you
wrote.
said
No,
you
I read it. I read it. Na parang
It's on your.
Hailey's trying to be Selena in a lot of ways.
I don't deal with pop conspiracies. It's scary.
I disagree. I think Haley is pretty secure. Actually, I do.
But if you read that thread, it makes a lot of sense.
You're like Charlie Day in It's Always Sunny.
I genuinely think that Haley is a much nicer and kinder person than a lot of people give credit her for. I like her better than the Kardashians. Jesus.
I'm not a high bar.
Well, I don't really have an opinion on Hailey, but that thread was interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm also watching AJ and the Queen on Netflix. It's RuPaul's show. So it's,
RuPaul
if
and
you're a
Chad.
fan of Drag Race and like everything, I mean, it's not spectacular, I would say that, but it's a really fun watch. I laughed out loud. I'm not done yet, but if there's a lot of Drag Race Easter eggs and just like being like woke and being like kasi being a drag queen, and there's also a child involved, and being in this world as a female child na parang RuPaul AJ is a kid and RuPaul is called Ruby Red, so Ruby becomes like kind of like the mother of this kid in a sense, but it's really interesting. Your recommendations?
I don't really have anything, but a few shows that I watch are resuming this week. So Good Trouble, like I mentioned, resumes. The Good Place resumed last week.
Oh god.
And
last-
it's become I really liked how the direction shifted
Still
and
not
how
caught up,
it's
but we'll see.
I'm
It's
also not
it's the
caught up.
last
It's just too much.
three
episodes,
episodes,
yeah, something like that. The Harley Quinn animated show is still running, which is very,
I heard
very
about
I
good.
heard it's really good.
It's so funny. And then season 5 of The Magicians, which is like the best D&D show that is not D&D.
I know like 2 people who watch this show.
yeah.
One of them is you.
And like
The other one's mean.
watch it just for like there's a scene in season 3 where they have to save themselves by singing Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie. It's great.
Respect.
Ooh.
Ganda. Anyway.
Awesome.
Okay, Denny.
Well, because my 2020 is usually 2019 catch up. So just like, I'll just spitball. Plus, I don't really have a lot left from earlier. So like what I saw this week, again, Asuka 1 and 2, I can't recommend it enough. I mean, I think it's singular. I'm very picky with like 5-star ratings. But like, it was easy for me. I think the movie resonates. It's like, I would like if, for like a deep cut reference, but it's like Burning if Burning were better.
Whoa.
That's insane.
If Burning were less less like
Murakami.
pretentious.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Like I love it, but like it's also a fair
no.
bit pretentious.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, so Asaka 1 and 2, no one I haven't seen anyone see it, but I really think it's the sort of movie that
It'll
just
pop
helps
up.
you feel warm.
Oh.
And speaking of burning, can I just say I love Steven Yeun? Yun lang.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I was so amused at
Amazing.
how he was
R.I.P.
speaking
Glenn.
like full Korean.
Because he's Korean.
I know, but like we saw him. I
Yeah,
mostly
as
only know
Glenn,
him as
yeah.
Glenn.
Yeah.
So Glenn didn't speak
He
Korean.
he also has like great movie taste. Like I read his.
He has like a.
He's legit.
legit.
He's like one of the
Cinephile, yeah.
only good parts in the Jordan Peele Twilight Zone reboot. So
Yeah.
Okay.
And well, that's a movie. I mean, well, that's the only movie I have to recommend. And I guess I haven't seen the movie, and I wanted to talk about this earlier, but we just skimmed through it. Wild Rose, the soundtrack to Wild Rose. I'm a country guy, and I think the soundtrack to Wild Rose is interesting because Jessie Buckley is not from Nashville. Jessie Buckley is Irish, Scottish, I'm not sure. And you may know her as the woman in the poofy wig from Chernobyl.
Oh.
Hey.
Yeah, she
okay.
she is the star of Wild Rose, and I haven't seen the movie. I've heard a lot of good things, but the soundtrack has been on loop. I think Glasgow is easily the best original song in the movie. As a country person, it feels so genuine in a way that, you know, a lot of people say country is a distinctly American genre, which I think is true. But with like last year with Golden Hour, this year with like a song like Glasgow, I think there's a kernel of it that gets buried in all these hokey Americana that, you know, resonates, I think. And I think Glasgow is just perfect because the title itself, it's Glasgow, it's in Scotland, you know. And I think might be my favorite song of the year.
Ooh.
It's lovely track.
I saw Dave Chappelle yesterday.
Yeah.
And Michelle Wolf.
And Michelle Wolf and
Grabe, big time, ah.
Dang.
and those were his openers. And it was not a full house because his tickets are ridiculously expensive.
Where was it,
It's
Moa?
there. The
so
tickets
there.
were ridiculously expensive, but I recommend just like being in the room with him because he's my favorite comic of all time, and he's completely different when there aren't any cameras. That's what I'll say. He's completely different. Took me completely by surprise. Honest, sincere, obviously extremely funny, laugh out loud funny. I don't like say this lightly because I'm a gigantic fan of comedy, but like when it comes to stand up and then like all the specials that I've seen, last night might have been my favorite stand up special ever. It's just amazing, and my cheeks were hurting.
Do you
because I'm laughing
recommend
so much?
anything specifically from him?
Dave Chappelle, well, his early work, God, both of his specials when he was young, I completely forgot the titles of the work, but I can like quote entire segments of it, which is strange. But he did two specials when he was young. Now he did The Bird Revelation, is probably my favorite, and maybe Sticks and Stones is also up there. Sticks and Stones just came out last year. So, but be warned, he says what he wants. He doesn't care about being PC, so the usual stand-up comedy stuff.
Yeah.
So I recommend him.
I mean, he's not Ricky Gervais.
yeah,
Yeah.
thankfully. And his wife's Filipina. Does anyone care? I don't know.
Pinoy Pride.
Yeah, but what do you call this? I'd also like to recommend this podcast that I've been listening to called Unspooled. I only recently started listening to it. It's
What's it about?
hosted by, it's about movies.
Okay.
Like it's about like they review movies, even like movies that they just watched but like came out in the 40s. Doesn't matter to them. And
Is this the one with what's his name?
it's hosted by Paul Scheer and Amy Nicholson.
Yeah, this is the one where Paul Shear. Is this the one
Amy
where Paul Shear has
Nicholson.
seen none of the AFI movies?
Yes.
And then they're watching all the AFI movies.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
I know Amy
Fun
Nicholson.
fact: Paul Scheer is a well-known film critic, and Amy Nicholson actually works for AFI. So they're both really, really well-known film. The reason why I love the podcast so much is because they talk about film really in depth, and they use very I guess quote unquote highfalutin language, but I never really feel like they're doing it to be pretentious. They're just doing it because that's the only way they know how to describe the movies, and it's nice. It's chill. They're both like very happy people. I like the sounds of their voices. So Unspooled, watch that. I listen to that, and I didn't get to mention this in the last episode we were talking about 2019, but my personal like movie that I think everyone should see from last year, although it's not my favorite movie last year, is called Dolomite Is My Name, starring Eddie Murphy. And it's a feel-good movie about a guy that really wants to be in the movies. Nobody wants to make his movies because he's black and it's like the 70s. And he goes out and starts making his own films awesome. It's on Netflix.
True story, right?
It's on Netflix now.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's been on Netflix
It's
for
an-
like
it's
a
an
year.
original. It's an
What?
original.
It's been on Netflix for a
Netflix
year.
original.
Didn't get any nomination.
Why?
At the Oscars.
People were so shocked. It should have like they were like, "Where's costume?"
Costumes, yeah.
I've
Because
only heard about it like recently.
It's
I
uplifting.
didn't even know it was on
It's
Netflix.
uplifting. It's positive. It's a wonderful, triumphant return for Eddie Murphy for cinema because he's getting back in the industry. He's doing like a lot more movies now.
His SNL was really good.
Yeah, and he's going to do Coming to America 2. He's taken full responsibility of all his kids. So he's become an all-around better person. And Dolomite is My Name is nice because it. God, this isn't really a spoiler, but there's no antagonist. The antagonist is people not believing in him. All these people not believing in him. And yeah, I loved it. So that's my movie recommendation.
Yay! So that is
Wonderful.
our popcorn extravaganza. We said we were gonna make this short, but we couldn't make
my
this short.
watch stopped working.
We had a lot of feelings, but thank you guys for being here
Oh my God.
and saying all your
I
feelings.
saw
I
that
really
time.
appreciate your presence all the time. I hope you still
Chola.
come back.
Go Cholo.
Go Cholo. I love doing the show.
Yeah.
Thank you
I've done it
so
twice
much.
now.
Same. Fourth
True,
time
true.
here.
Congrats to everyone for surviving another long episode of the show. Thank you for listening in all the time. Of course, please follow our social media. That's Popcorn with Cholo at Popcorn W Cholo on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Rate us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify and listen to us everywhere. Spread the good word and let your friends know about this show so we can keep going.
Yeah.
And yeah, messages for your comments and recommendations all on Instagram or wherever. So yeah, thank you guys. We'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.